Welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach. Thank you so much for tuning into our Saturday show where we have some fun and we talk about the hot topics and we do all the crazy things that you can expect from That's Life. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media. As you know, we put the plug out there. You can follow us on all social media, including TikTok, IG, YouTube, Facebook, and of course our website at thatslifebylealeach.com. As you all can see, we had a recent name change when it came to TikTok and IG. We now can be found at That's Life by Leah Leach. So if you are looking for us, that's the place for you to go if you're looking for all of us, okay? As you all know, we have butterfly moves, and we also offer butterfly moves every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel. So you can go to our YouTube channel and check out our new vlog series that we have called Butterfly Moves. Shout out to Mr. Yuri, who came out with this really, really cool concept that we started back in January when we were in the process of going through our home. And so that's part of the reason why we started Butterfly Moves, was to kind of give you still some content, but just on a smaller scale. As you all know, we have stopped giving you COVID numbers. Why? Because we're back to the normal world, y'all. Some of us we're practically back to normalcy. We're having hot girl and hot guy summers, and we're doing all kind of crazy stuff out there. So it is what it is. But what I will tell you is please make sure that you're following the guidelines of the CDC. Take care of yourself, you guys. There are some spikes that are happening. So it's just very, very important that you are doing whatever the CDC tells you as it relates to COVID numbers, okay? Today's show, you can see I got the home team with me. We're going to be talking about, should I let go? The struggles of a helicopter parent. And this show is kind of important to me. It's important to her too, but it's more important to me. And I'm going to be on the other side of the chair this time. Normally, I'm the one asking the questions and throwing all the hard, difficult things to people. Well, this time home team is the interviewer and I'm the interviewee. And I'm going to be getting all the hard questions as it relates to all things about helicopter parent.
Cover it all, people.
So when we get back, we're going to kick off into the show, the struggles of being a helicopter parent. Also, shameless plug, this is a Q&A session. We're going to be dropping comments throughout this show. If you have questions for me, you can drop them in the comment box as well too. And if you just want to make a comment, hey, we're for it. You know, we're an open show. So when we get back, we're going to kick straight off into the show. The struggles of being a helicopter parent. We'll be right back. welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach. Thank you so much for tuning in to our segment, The Struggles of Being a Helicopter Parent, with my special guest, my co-host, my buddy.
Yes.
My bae. Of course, you know this, the home team, Shaun. We're going to be talking about the struggles of being a helicopter parent. Y'all, this is going to be a fun show. It's also going to be a serious show because, of course, we do make it a little bit serious so that you can kind of get the context of our show. As you all know, this is a Q&A session. So please make sure that you drop your comments, questions, statements, anything that you want in the comment box. We're going to show them throughout the show. So whatever you have a question about, whether to me or just in general as a whole, throw it out there. We're going to talk about it all. Okay. So the struggles of a helicopter parent, and y'all listen, this is a great depiction of what a helicopter parent looks like. And we're going to talk a little bit about the statistics as it relates to being a helicopter parent. And as you know, we always bring those things to you. So from parentingforbrain.com, the meaning of helicopter parent is loosely defined as a parent that pays excessive attention to a child's every move and experience. Helicopter parents are highly involved, overprotective parents who oversee every, and I mean every, or mostly every aspect of their child's life, and sometimes even act on their behalf. Helicopter parents are sometimes known as hovering parents because they, of course, hover over their children. They make noise like a helicopter and swoop in to rescue their children at the sign of first trouble. This term was originally given from the baby boomer parents. So anybody that was a baby boomer, you know who you are. You were born from the 1940s to the 1960s. And these parents were children of course, the millennials, which is my age group from the 1980s all the way up into the 2000s. This term gained a lot of attention in the 2000s, just as millennials were beginning to reach college age. University admissions officials and college professors started experiencing the parents' intrusive behavior and denouncing it publicly. And they would, those type of parents, they would be all over the place. Signs of a helicopter parent include things such as require supervision, control, and guidance to the rules and the world that their children live in. Helicopter parents are constantly monitoring their children's actions every single day. We're going to move on to the next stat, which includes some of the characteristics of it. These parents tend to be overprotective and worry excessively about their children, says Michelle M. Reynolds, PhD of a clinical psychologist and founder of Life Catalyst. They often micromanage their children's schedules and intervene frequently to make things smoother for their children. Now, this statistic that you see of this mom and baby come from very well family. The desire to provide a different childhood is one characteristic of why most parents hover. A social pressure to succeed is also another reason why helicopter parents hover. And an instinct to protect is another reason why they hover. So y'all, we're going to be talking about it all. That's a lot. We're going to talk about it all. So home team has some questions for me, and I'm sure these questions are going to be uncomfortable. So I'm just going to get ready.
Yes. So the first question I have for you, buckle your seatbelt, helicopter parent, I guess.
Okay.
Talk about your experience as a child growing up.
So my experience as a child growing up was I was very independent. When I lived in New Jersey, I had lots of family. Lots of family everywhere. I had aunties 2 houses down from where I lived. I had people that knew my aunt who I grew up with at the church. So I had a lot more ability to be able to maneuver, right? Yeah. I just did. I was able to kind of maneuver and do all the things that I wanted to do. When I moved to Georgia, my mother was a single parent. And so she worked a lot. So that independence only grew because my mother was always at work. Sometimes that's not always a good thing that mom was at work because it presented some things for me as well too. Thankfully, I never got in trouble with the law. Thankfully, I never got pregnant as a teenager. Nothing drastic like that. but it did leave a lot of room for me to be able to get into some things that I probably should not have gotten into.
I guess that kind of answers my second question. Do you consider yourself as a helicopter parent? And if so, why?
Well, ironically, one of my children is on the show right now, and she's dropping questions and comments, which I will get to at the end of the show, just so that you know, I will get to them at the segment 4 part of our show. I believe I probably am, based on a lot of these definitions, a lot of these explanations. I probably am a helicopter parent. The reason why I feel like I am is because I was once a teenager.
Yeah.
Okay. And being a teenager, you do some.
I mean, we can all relate to that.
We do some things that we shouldn't do. Right?
Yeah.
I made a lot of not so good choices as a young adult that could have potentially put me onto a really bad path. Thankfully, I had, good praying people around me that surrounded me, and I had a lot of good energy around me, but it could have led me into a really bad place. And so because of that, I feel like I'm maybe a little too hovery when it comes to my kids. I can admit that. I'm working on it, people.
It takes a lot to admit that, though.
I'm working on it. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. I'm working on it, though.
Okay, so how about this? What is the hardest part of being a parent that you have experienced so far?
The hardest part of being a parent in my mind is just the notion that I don't have control. It's the notion of letting go and trusting my kids to get it right.
Right.
It's the notion of them failing. Because unfortunately, far too often when a kid fails, they don't look at the kid sometimes as they look at the parents.
Right.
And so I'm probably a little bit too protective of that, of not letting them fail, but it's good for them to fail. And I know that it would be good for them to fail.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the hardest part for me as a parent, sitting back and watching things.
It's hard to see them just fall.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though the hardest thing is to just, like what you said,
let go.
You gotta let go, people.
Yeah, definitely let go. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue on this conversation of the struggles of being a helicopter parent. Y'all, this is a Q&A session. So drop your questions, drop your comments on here. We're going to look at every single one of them and keep them in mind during the show. And my kids are definitely dropping some questions, so I'm sure.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out if you're a helicopter parent or not.
Oh boy. When we come back, we're going to kick straight off still into that. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Hey, I'm Natasha Nedrick, the empowerment coach and founder of Empowering Imprints. And I have a question for you. When is the last time you went to work and you did something really life-giving? I mean, you showed up on a Monday morning and you were excited to be there. The truth of the matter is, far too often we find ourselves climbing corporate ladders we never intended to be on. Why? Because we have convinced ourselves that the only way we can make money to put food on the table to take care of our family is to work at a job that leaves us dead and feeling unsatisfied. Well, I want to challenge you to change your narrative, to believe that the gifts and the talent and the purpose and the passion that God placed inside of you shouldn't be going to waste. In fact, it should be making you money. As an empowerment coach, I work with faith-based entrepreneurs and professionals to help them discover their purpose, monetize their gifts, and build wealth. You keep saying you're ready to start your business, to write your book, to start your next. You know what God has placed inside of you. You keep putting it on hold. You know what it is. You just need someone to empower you to get it out of you. Go to empoweringimprints.com and let me empower you to do your next.
Welcome back to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach, with the home team as we discuss, are you a helicopter parent? The struggles of a helicopter parent. Y'all, she's going to grill me with a lot of questions, so I just have to get ready. It is what it is to it. You have to sit in truth. That's part of one of the reasons why we started this show, was to be able to have real conversation about it, right? Yeah. So we're going to move to the next statistic. And like I told you guys, we always bring stats to you all as it relates to what we're talking about. So these are some of the effects of being a helicopter parent, right? As you can see, this young girl is probably sick to death of her mama as she's hovering over her mom as she's trying to do homework. Some of the symptoms include being overprotective, putting excessive pressure on children, micromanaging, an intense desire to provide your child from a different childhood, which is some of the things that we did talk about. And as you all know, like that's one of the key things as it relates to helicopter parent. We're going to move to the next statistic, which these are some of the impacts that having a helicopter parent will present. Things such as lack of self-esteem, self-confidence, stress and anxiety, poor life skills, increased aggression, a sense of entitlement, and poor coping skills. Specifically, when it comes to these things, these are some stats that come from those. One positive aspect of being a helicopter parent is that it brings children and parents close together, which is always a good thing. However, the low self-esteem also plays a big contribution to how children can feel. Having a parent constantly watching over everything you do can make a child feel like they can never do anything right. This could lead to self-esteem issues, and it can cause a helicopter parent to micromanage all the way into adulthood. And we have seen this a lot of times with people who are very involved in their children's life as a young adult, and then they go into college and that still continues and bleeds over. In addition, poor life skills is another aspect or impact of a parent that hovers. It can cause them to not feel like they can be doing anything on their own, or that they can't guide themselves throughout life. Dr. Reynolds, which is a doctor that made the study, points out that when parents are always doing tasks for their children, the children grow up not knowing how to take care of themselves properly and lead them to poor developed skills and an unrealistic dependency upon parents. So those are just a few things that can happen if you have a hovering parent. So now we're going to let home team ask some more questions and grill me in the process.
I'm back with some more questions, y'all. Okay, name a time when you feel as though you were into a helicopter mode, and how were you able to get through it?
Okay, so I know that I can be a helicopter parent, so I'm just going to sit in my honesty. The one particular situation that I can think of was with my son. Yuri, of course, is the oldest, as you know, many of you all know. And so I have a tendency when things go awry at school, I'm the first one in the building, hitting the building, things smoking, tables are flipping. My son had an incident when he was in 5th grade. And at the time, he was experiencing a situation with a young boy at his school.
Right.
What that looked like was that this boy harassed him every single day. And I mean every day. She could tell you. It was every day.
It was.
It was every single solitary day.
Every day.
It was every day. And it got to the point where my son came home one day and he had hot sauce in his hair because this kid threw hot sauce at him in the middle of the lunchroom. And as you can imagine, when he came home and I saw hot sauce in his hair, I lost my mind. I ain't gonna say what I actually said, because if I say it, I'm gonna lose some viewership.
Don't.
But I lost it.
We know where you're coming from.
I did. I lost it. I went up to the school and I flipped every table, chair, everything. But in theory, I had a right to do so because that was my child, and that could have been his eye. That could have been anything, right? And that could have been a bad situation going wrong. But I should have allowed him to problem solve. I should have allowed him to stand up for himself. Because in doing so, it probably looked like to his friends and even maybe to teachers and everyone else that he was a softie, and that his mama needed to come up there and handle it. And so in theory, I probably should not have hovered at that moment. probably should have stepped back just a little bit, just a hair.
Just maybe.
But I was gonna flip some tables and chairs for that baby. So
You wasn't going to. You did.
I did. But now that he's in high school, I don't think I would respond as I wouldn't go from fight to flight. I don't think, but that's not to say I wouldn't, but I will try my best.
And on that note, what do you believe is your biggest fear for Yuri and your biggest fear for Carmen?
Wow. That's a loaded question. Okay.
Take that in for a second.
So that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with Yuri first because Yuri's a little bit easier. My fear for Yuri is just that because he's such a teddy bear and I love my son. Like, I love both of my children, obviously, but my son has a heart of gold, like has a pure heart of gold. He will give his last to anyone. But what that tends to look like is he's always depleted and he's always out. Yeah. People use Yuri a lot. And that was one of my biggest fears as he became older. Now, granted, now he's older, so he's standing up for himself a lot more, which is great for me to see. But my worry for him when he was coming up as a young person into high school was how people would just step all over him and it would just be bad. And so my biggest fear for him is just allowing people to recognize when people are misusing you or when people are mistreating you or mishandling you. That's my biggest fear for Yuri. My fear for Carmen is a lot. It's a laundry list. But I'll say the biggest thing that I worry about for my daughter is she is the opposite of Yuri. She's a thug.
Yeah, when did she get that from?
I don't know. I don't know where she would have got that from. But she's tough. She is forward tough. She's super tough. She is so tough that I don't ever have to worry about her. But I do worry about her because she's so small. And I know people would be like, but that's small. But she's my baby.
Short people now.
She's my baby. And what I don't want and what I don't need is for her to build a personality of being angry or aggressive.
You like the angry black woman?
And we talked about that, the angry black woman. I just don't want her to be the person that turns into a fighter all the time when she feels like she has to fight all the time. Yeah. My other worry for her is just how disgusting people have become in terms of perversion. I'm worried about her when she goes to high school, what these boys are going to say, because Gen Z, let me just say something to you. Gen Z is altogether different than the millennials. Altogether different than the baby boomers, altogether different than every generation before. Gen Z is a whole nother breed.
They have no filter.
They have no filter, no chaser, and they tend to be, like I said, very perverse. Yeah. They're extremely perverse. In my mind, they're perverse. That's probably what they felt about us millennials. But I definitely feel that way about this generation. They are perverse. And so if somebody touches my child, does something inappropriate to my child, that helicopter parent is going to be a whole different type of parent.
I can't tell y'all what I always tell my daughter if somebody put their hands on her. But she knows what I say.
Yeah, I'm going to go off. I'm going to go off.
So the next question for you.
Yes.
How have you handled situations as it relates to school issues with Yuri and Carmen? And do you feel you have ever been overly excessive?
Well, we just talked about that.
Yeah, you kind of.
So I definitely have been overly excessive when it comes to Yuri and Carmen as it relates to academics, as it relates to things that they interact with their friends and family. Matter of fact, we just had a conversation a few days ago as a family because some of the things that Yuri talks about with his teenage friends is like, what? So yes. I would say that how I handle situations is I tend to be a little bit old school, which sometimes that's effective, but sometimes it's ineffective. I've learned over time to try to figure out how to create a perfect balance and median as it relates to how my mother raised me versus how I should raise the children and what I was taught and the morals that I was taught. the compass is important. And so I try to keep the same compass that my mother gave to me, but just tweak it a little bit. Because there's some good foundational things that my mother taught me as a baby boomer that was important in my development as the person that I am today. And so those things, I carry those things to Yuri and Carmen, but just with a twist, because y'all, I got to, this generation, Gen Z is just different. Y'all, they're just different. There's no way around it. They're different. And so you have to be able to creatively come with something different with them. You can't, it's not beating them to death. Like we used to get beat. Okay. For all of y'all that's watching, that is a millennial. Yeah. Y'all, we used to get our butts handed to us. We used to get beat in the street. Okay. We got beat wherever we were, whatever time it was that our mother and dad wanted to do. Right. It was done right there. It was done right there and then. No questions asked, hit the ground smoking. Right. But you can't operate from that same mentality and space as it relates to Gen Z. It's ineffective and it just doesn't seem to resonate to me, in my opinion, it doesn't seem to resonate. Right. So I have to come with something different. This right here, that's the way to punish them. It is. And that's more effective than me chasing them around the house and making you all winded and tired. Making me all winded and tired. Right.
It's okay. One more question for you.
Okay.
What is the relationship between you and the children?
I have a great relationship with Yuri and Carmen. I feel like, well, let me speak from my perspective, and they're on the show, so I'm sure that they'll drop their little comments. But I have a great relationship with Yuri and Carmen. Do we see eye to eye about every single thing? No, of course not. There's some things we just don't see eye to eye about. But overall, in the grand scheme of everything, they talk to me a lot. They ask lots of questions. We even do open forum, which is a spot where if we have a hot thing that we want to talk about, we sit together as a family and we have a conversation about that. Yes. And that's their time to vocalize whatever issues they have with us, with people, with society, with the world. That's their experience to be able to have that moment to talk. And I'm very thankful for that relationship that we have. It's interesting because Carmen will be a teenager next month. I'm trying to not let it happen.
Was another year.
No, it's happening next month. She's going to be a teenager next month. And so we're experiencing different aspects of her now. And so it's been interesting to say the least. But the one thing that I'm happy about is that we still have a space to vocalize. She still has a space to vocalize. Absolutely. So it makes it a lot easier as it relates to our relationship. And then of course, it's just fun all the time. It's just literally, it's fun all the time.
It is.
And we try to make it light, when we need to make it light. We're going to go to our halftime. We're so excited about halftime. We are going to have some new minute tutorials very soon, guys. We ask that you just be patient with us because we're still in the transition process, of course, as we are in our new place. But we do have a minute tutorial for you. And of course, it's the home team. We're going to do 2 minutes technically. Ooh, 2
special treat
as it relates to our minute tutorial. So without further ado, this is Minute with the Mechanic.
Hi, my name is Shaun and I'm your Minute with the Mechanic. I'm here to show you guys about how to find the pressure for your car. The pressure at each tire can be different and you don't know. So you might have a flat or running low. You want to go put air in it, but you don't know how much. So you just pick whatever air you want to put into it, but you could damage your tire either way you do it. So the best way to know exactly what air goes in your tire, the panel right here on your door. It tells you exactly how much air goes in each tire. The front tire is different from the back tires. So you definitely want to make sure you get it right. I don't want you guys paying money for tires that you don't have to. All right, that's it. Minute with Mechanic. I'm out. Oh, hi, y'all back again for a Minute with the Mechanic. Well, today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to make sure your air filter is still good. So right here is where your air filter is. Well, on my car. Different cars, has different spots, but it's the big container and you can find it. With mine, just pull off the cap, pull the air filter out, there it is. If it's black, you need to change it. If it's still white, you're good. Slap it back in there, slide it in, put the cap back on, you're done. Easy and simple. Don't have to waste extra money dealing with mechanics, telling you need this, paying out of pocket for too much. Also, while we're on the topic, whenever you guys get an oil change, you get it done every 3,000 miles. With that, oil change comes with tire rotation and checking that air filter. Every 3,000 miles, you want to get it done. Saves you money in the long run. All right, that's it. Minute with a mechanic.
You ever just dream big, dream real big? I mean, I wonder what that would look like. I think the best part about being behind the camera and figuring it all out is getting the pieces, collecting all of the pieces that make the puzzle a complete picture. How do you make it all come together? Situations, scenarios, and different things on the screen. What is it that you want to do? When it's time to actually be creative, collaboration is key. You can count on me to help turn that vision into reality.
Welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leah Leach, with the home team. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all like her little halftime show? Give it up for the home team, spilling some tea on you so that you can get whatever you need to get when it comes to your cars. Y'all, we're going to have some promotion videos for her in the near future, so stay tuned. I know, I just be jumping ahead. Stay tuned because we got some stuff going on for her. We are in the last segment of the show, but before we tell our tips of the day, we're going to answer some questions, and there's going to be some questions that are asked from the home team as it relates to our topic, the struggles of a helicopter parent. My kids, of course, are the ones that drop questions because I guess they got questions for their mama, and this is the safest space that they can do. So I'm going to start with Carmen because she had several. So Carmen, do you think you are a helicopter parent when it comes to your kids texting? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. The reason is because sometimes you have to be careful about what you say.
Yeah.
Listen, my kids will tell you I monitor their text messages at all costs. I'm not excessive, I don't believe. But I do.
You don't do it every day.
No, I don't.
Excessive.
I don't. That's excessive.
Yeah.
I don't think going through their phone every day.
Twice a month or something.
Yeah, I do what I call a call, and I need to be able to see what's in your thread. I need to be able to see what are you looking at on Google to make sure that if the police come knocking on my door,
you know what?
I know what y'all talking about,
Yeah.
because I don't need those type problems in my life. So absolutely, I believe in checking text messages. I wish my mama had to check my stuff. Probably I wouldn't have gotten in so much trouble in my lifetime.
Ooh.
But it is what it is. Next question from Miss Carmen Clark. Do you think parents need to hover over their kids? I think you have to some capacity. You have to hover over your kid, because if you don't,
Slip the cracks.
they can not only slip through the cracks, but it could be potentially a bad situation gone real bad.
Yeah.
So you have to hover just a hair. It doesn't have to be excessive, but it has to be enough that they understand that they have a parent that actually cares. That shows care. If a parent is hovering, it shows a level of care for them. So absolutely, I think that a parent should hover. Of course, now here's Mr. Yuri. Do you think that children do the same thing? I think that some kids definitely hover over their parents. They're mad nosy.
Yeah. Especially when if you're on your own phone, they up like.
Yeah, I am that kid. I hover over my mom too. I just do. Yeah, I hover over my mom. Am I excessive? I would say no, but then again, my mother probably would be like, yeah, she's definitely a little bit excessive. So I think that when you show care, it looks like hovering, but I think that sometimes you can't confuse care for hover. So yes, I do hover over my mother and my dad from time to time, but not as excessively as my mom.
Oh, I can understand that a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think all kids do.
I got another question for you out the woodwork.
Oh Lord, what you got for me?
What do you think is the difference between when we were growing up as children versus now?
Well, that's a really good question, y'all. I think generationally, it's just different.
Yeah.
When we were coming up, we could walk up the street to the corner store and not worry about somebody kidnapping.
Right.
We could, go to our friend's house and not worry about pedophilia and molestation. Not that it didn't exist, because it did, but it wasn't as heard of, I think, in my mind. There was a lot more freedom to be able to do the things that we wanted to do. It also helped too that I feel like everything wasn't so broadcasted on social media.
Right.
And that's a big part of it too. This generation, to me, it seems like every other day I'm getting an Amber Alert. I'm not even exaggerating. It seems like that. Yeah. It seems like every other day you hear about a coach or a teacher or someone having a relationship with a student. It just seems like I'm hearing about it more. So in my mind, it makes me hover more because I'm so protective of Yuri and Carmen. And I'm going to tell y'all, listen, this is something that my wife only knows. My children don't even know this, so they're going to hear this for the first time. On my son's first day of high school, I cried like a baby. I did. I was one of those parents. I was one of those parents that cried from the time I dropped him off until the hour I picked him up. When I dropped off Carmen for her first day of middle school, I cried. When I dropped her off, I cried all the way till I picked her up. Because not that I was worried about so much their environment. I was worried about them. I was worried about their mental capacity. I was worried about, is somebody going to touch them? They're new students. They don't know where they're going. Are they going to get lost? Yeah. I lost my mind. That first week was hellacious. And then after that, I got over it and I shook it off. But I think that we just all have that moment where we just get scared. It's just different, y'all. It's different how we were raised versus how they were raised.
It is. So what scares you the most of letting your children go on their own?
I think the scary part for me is that they won't need me anymore, or that they won't want me anymore. And as their mom, I always want them to want me just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just want me a little bit.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but your kids is not going to want you just a little bit. They're going to want you a lot.
I want them to want me a little bit. Like I want them to want me a little. Not too much. Not to the point like what Yuri says, where he says he's going to live in my basement until he's 40 years old. Not that much.
Not here.
But I do want him to want me a little bit. Like where he thinks about me and he picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Mom, I'm just going to drop by to come see you." I just want them to want me a little bit.
Gotcha. Just a little bit.
Just
I heard that. Just a little bit. Last question I have for you.
Okay.
What is your hopes and dreams for the children?
Oof. I have so many hopes and dreams for Yuri and Carmen.
What's the top two?
To me, the top two dreams is that they're happy with their life, whatever decision that they make for their life, whether that's relationship, career, just in general, that they're happy. Yeah. My other wish for them is that whatever that they do it with love and passion. I don't want them to do anything half. If you're going to do it with all the love and passion inside of you. Don't just do anything half. So that's my biggest dream for both of my kids.
Those are all both reasonable dreams for you.
Yeah, definitely. And y'all can still drop questions in the comment box if you want me to answer questions, or if you have any statements you want to make, go ahead and drop them in the comment box. But we're going to move to the final part of our show, which are the tips. And I always give tips to everything. These tips are really more for me too, as it is just for y'all, for people that are helicopter parents. I also want to put this shameless plug out there. If you're dropping comments on Facebook, we may not see them because for some strange, odd reason, you can't always see comments on Facebook. So if you have questions and you're dropping them in Facebook, make sure that you drop them in our live on our YouTube channel and we'll answer those appropriately. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. So here's 10 ways to stop helicopter parenting. Now here, I always say this little segue. These are not firm tips, okay? Use judgment, people, okay? Because obviously, depending upon the age, depending upon the circumstance, this is what's applicable. So from Bishop Marshall Law, these are 10 ways you can stop helicopter parenting. So number 1,
remind them only once.
Listen, people, I am guilty. Leah Clark, let me take myself off of this screen right here. Leah Clark Leach, am guilty of always reminding my kids constantly the same thing. Okay. Don't nag your children. No one likes to be nagged. Give them one single reminder about whatever it is. So for example, today, my child, she knows who she is. Didn't take her vitamins. Did I have to remind her 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 times to take her vitamins? Absolutely not. Tell her one time, tell her again one time. That's it. And that's going to be hard. But what it teaches your child is you don't have to be the person to bug over it again. And it also teaches them about memory. Because if you're constantly telling them,
they're not going to remember.
They're not going to remember because they're tuning you out. So stop bugging them. Tell them one time.
They're going to rely on you to remind them.
Correct.
So they're not going to worry about it. They'll tell me when it's done.
Absolutely. And that goes back to social skills, which is what we talked about at the very beginning. So number 2, leave it. Just because you can fix something doesn't mean you have to, people. The next time you realize that you're between your kids and the bus stop, or you're leaving for work and your kid leaves their homework on the counter, y'all leave it alone. They have to understand what consequences look like. Okay. Sometimes consequences come when you're forgetful. Okay. And I say this to myself too, because I have a tendency, if Yuri and Carmen leave something, I will stop work, go get it, and come back.
Well, you have to give yourself
lately I've given myself grace, because let me tell you something. I won't say a specific name, but a person always leaves his cell phone. As I said, his.
At somebody's house.
All the time. So you have to be able to kind of just leave it alone and leave it be. It is what it is. Number 3,
stop taking responsibility for your kids' actions.
You know what I'm talking about. The impulse to say, we didn't remember, or remind them. Let's stop doing that altogether. Okay. Kids pick up on the hesitation and self-doubt. It only serves to make them think it's really our fault. So when they do something, the bottom line is they got to take accountability for their actions. And that's one thing I can actually say I'm pretty proud that both of us do. We allow them to take accountability all the time. Number 4,
let them fail. This is a biggie.
Y'all, this is the one that Leah Clark Leach says that she struggles with the most. Okay. If they fail, I fail. But here's the truth, people. Kids will learn from failing a whole lot more if they are not being rescued. Okay. There are times when an occasional save is needed and necessary. But y'all, let them kids fail. They're not gonna, there's nothing gonna happen to them. Okay. And I know that that's hard for particularly mothers. Okay. And I got to come off for this one, particularly when it comes to mothers. We don't want our kids to fail. We don't want anything to happen to them. We're supposed to be the ones to shield the little egg and not let it crack. But guess what? In doing that, we actually don't teach them how it is when they fall
and what to do to get back up and what it takes.
So let them fail. It is what it is. They'll be all right.
They'll be all right.
Number 5,
let them learn from their own experiences.
So it is our job to protect our kids from anything uncomfortable. But the truth is, learning experiences are more powerful. Okay. It's important that as much as we like to transfer our knowledge to our kids simply by telling them what we've experienced, it doesn't work, people. Okay. They have to go through their own experience and they have to learn firsthand what that feels like. Sometimes you gotta let your kids stick their hand in the fire to understand, hot, it's hot. I'm not about to do that again. Sometimes for some kids, they gotta put their hands in the fire multiple times. That was me. I was the kid. I was the kid that stuck her hand in the fire a lot. And my mother was always like, but why, Sway,
Why?
do you keep putting your hand in the fire when the fire is hot? Sometimes it's not best to do that. Let them burn, let them get a 3rd degree burn, let them figure it out. They got to figure it out. That's just the bottom line. They got to figure it out. Okay. It is what it is. Number 6.
Focus on equipping your kids with the skills they need.
Listen, you're not in class with your kids all day long. You're not on their school bus. You cannot be responsible for everything your kids should or should not be doing. Okay. You must trust that they're equipped with the skills to do their job. Because remember, that's what we talked about earlier. It's important that you've given them the compass.
Yes.
Okay. They're not going to forget which direction the compass is. Once you implant that thing, they know that it's there. Now, are they going to go veer off to the left when the compass says go right? Absolutely. They're supposed to do that. Okay. That's what kids do. That's what adults do. I mean, listen, we have a compass and we can hear our subconscious saying, go right. And we're going left. So why would it be different for them? Okay.
Right.
So let them use the skills that you've given them, because trust me, the skills, whatever skills you've given them, is good enough. Trust me on that. Okay. Number 7.
Don't do for your kids what they can do for themselves.
Listen, this is a habit that we have a capability of doing as parents. Okay. Think back to the look on your pride's face when they did something for themselves. Okay. For example, letting them tie their shoes on their own, make their own sandwich. Just those things. Those are normal things that parents should allow their children to do. When we take the reins of doing everything, cooking, doing their laundry, in my case, not only doing their laundry, but hanging their laundry, what are we teaching them? We're not teaching them a single thing.
You teaching them something. My mama gonna take care of my clothes.
So guess what, children? This is your warning. I'm not doing laundry anymore. Because I'm not teaching you anything.
Right.
And when you become an adult, whether that mean a college adult or an adult, you have to be able to stand sufficiently on your own. And you're not going to know if I'm constantly doing it for you.
Exactly.
So that's just the bottom line. It is what it is. No more. This is the end. Number 8.
Count the stakes.
Right now, the stakes are probably small. So if they forget their homework, it's getting a 0 on assignment, right? But as they get older and they get on their own, the stakes are much higher. One irresponsible decision could mean losing a job, getting into a car accident, or worse. So remind yourself now that the stakes aren't that high yet. The cost will teach them, but it won't hurt them. Okay. So that's a little bit tricky for us too, because we always want to do something for them, but the smallest thing can actually impact them so much greater at the end, right? If we don't teach our kids how to cook, when they become an adult, they think they can come over and come eat at our house all day long.
Not happening.
Okay. And the bottom line is they have to be able to be self-sufficient. If they don't learn how to pay a bill when they're a teenager or a young adult, by the time they get to be my age in their 40s and 50s, they're going to still be asking mom, how you pay this bill online again? There's nothing cute about that, by the way. Every young adult should know how to save money. Every young adult, meaning a teenager, when I say young adult, should know how to do the basic things that they need to do to pay a bill, to do those things. And they shouldn't have to rely on mommy and daddy to do it for them. So,
and watch where they're walking. Can't always be on that phone stuck in the face and not think you're going to fall down the stairs and walk into a pole.
Listen, just lean back off of it, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's the hardest thing to do, but just lean back off of it. Number 9,
recognize the paradox.
So letting your parents learn from their own mistake isn't bad parenting. It's phenomenal parenting. It's all about preparing them for adulthood. And we talked a lot about that. It's important that you allow kids to make whatever mistakes they're going to make. This is not the time to start criticizing your kids about what you did in 1955 or 1980 or 1983. Okay. Hey, it is what it is. It's important. It's very important that you allow your kids to have their own experience. And that's difficult. But all you can do is tell them stories and they have to be able to guide themselves through it. So stop the paradox. Nobody cares about what happened to you back in 1955.
Because times has changed.
Because things have changed. People have changed. It is what it is. Number 10, the highest one of them all.
Name the feeling.
If your efforts to pull back from being a helicopter parent make you feel uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right. Okay? Instead of curing the unsettling feeling by stepping in and doing whatever it is, trying to remind yourself not to do it is naming the feeling. Saying out loud, letting him get a 0 on the work assignment because I didn't go back to school at 8 p.m. for his math book feels uncomfortable, because that's what it has to be. Listen, y'all, as a parent, the best thing we can do is say how we feel.
Right.
That's why I have her. When I start feeling weird, this didn't feel good. Because listen, and we talked about this on the show multiple times, discomfort is actually where you grow.
Yes.
Okay. Think about a butterfly. It has to go through chrysalis.
Yep.
It has to go through a cocoon.
Yeah.
It has to go through being on its belly as a caterpillar. It is the most uncomfortable thing on the planet. A flower, it has to be planted deep into soil.
Yes.
And kind of maneuvered, and the roots have to come out. So if it can happen for those two beings, why can't it happen for a child?
Look what happens. And look what happens to birds. Don't they get just pushed off the nest like, you better fly?
Better figure it out.
I'm not gonna get it.
Listen, and I actually saw that happen. I actually watched a bird nest be built. I watched a baby bird hatch, and I watched the mom
push them out.
Push them out the nest.
Can't come back unless
You
you
better figure it out. It's a doggy dog world. You better figure it out, because it's going to help you to grow. Okay. And so as parents, I know that this was a tough show. It was tough for me to say it, because I know in my reality, there's some things I could do as a mom to release the reins of being a helicopter parent. Is it going to come easy? No. It's going to come with practice. Lots and lots of practice. It's going to come with, you being firm prayers. It's going to come with support systems. Thankfully, I have the home team to support me. She's probably going to pull out all these cue cards and remind me every single day what we talked about on this show, because it's only going to benefit not only the children, but it's going to benefit me as well, too. Exactly. So I hope that you got something out of this, whether you're a helicopter parent as for an adult child, a helicopter parent as a teenage child, or even a helicopter parent as a toddler. It's important that you allow your babies to grow and manifest and be the best versions of themselves. The only way that they're going to be the best versions of themselves if you allow them to be.
Right.
Okay. And that's, like I said, it's difficult to hear. It's very difficult to say, but it's
she's
necessary.
A helicopter parent.
I, Leah Clark Leach, am a helicopter parent. I'm going to work with myself. I'm going to do some homework. We might even do a follow-up show.
Right.
To talk about how I'm doing as it relates to helicoptering.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the person anymore. I'm going to try my best not to be
more
the
like
person.
the fly on the wall is where you're shooting for.
I like to be the fly on the wall. The fly on the wall just looks and
don't do anything, just
and then flies around and goes back to the wall again. That's just what we do. So
we're working to it, people. She's getting.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on it. I hope you were able to get something out of this show. Before we go, as you know, we always talk about social media. So please, please, please make sure that you go to our social media. TikTok and IG name have changed. So you can go to That's Life by Leach for not only TikTok, IG, but now for YouTube. Facebook at That's Life 0320 2020, and our website at thatslifebylealeach.com. You can go there for all updates, all good things as it relates to everything. I have to put this plug out here. We will not be here for next Saturday's Butterfly Moves. As you all know, or some of you do know, my birthday is coming up. Woo-woo! My birthday is here on Wednesday. And so I'm going to take some much needed rest for this week, all the way into Saturday afternoon, but we will be back for Saturday evening show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about the 1-year update of my health. And I know a lot of people have asked lots of questions as it relates to when I was diagnosed last year. I was actually diagnosed the day before my birthday last year this time. And so we're going to talk about the update that we've gotten from the doctors, the numbers, the figures, what it all means, what everything has happened since then. So we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to also talk about some updates that have impacted our family as it relates to my health. So tune in 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we talk about the 1-year update of my health, because we are going to talk about that. But you can typically catch Butterfly Moves every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel at That's Life by Leach. You can check us out. We have lots of replays to this point, including today's episode. We have aired 16 episodes of Butterfly Moves. So you can catch all the 16 episodes and see our growth over time with our Butterfly Moves. Because listen, we done came a long way since the beginning of time. So please make sure that you support me. Please, ma'am, please, sir. All right. So we're going to end our show with our quote and Bible verse of the day. We love you. Thank you for all those that have wished me early birthday wishes already. My birthday's not even here. It's not even here till Wednesday.
It's still my birthday week till Sunday.
It's technically her birthday week until Sunday. That's what we told her. So we're turning it up until tomorrow night. And then
it's birthday week for Lydia.
Then it's birthday week for me. So anyway, so we're going to close out with our quote of the evening, which is from Anthony St. Martin. Children are not born for the benefit of their parents. Neither are they the property of their family. Children belong to the future. And it's important to remember that children do belong to the future. Okay. Ephesians 6:1-4. Children, this is for y'all children, us children. Okay. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise that it will go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, and I'm going to also say mothers, even though this says fathers. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Thank you so much for tuning into our segment about the struggles of a helicopter parent. We will see y'all the next time. Enjoy your week, and we'll catch you next Saturday. Bye, guys.
Bye.